All right. Well, thank you, Zach and Hans and Robert. It's really, I think, a fitting way to end the BGRI 2014 workshop with awards for the best poster, remarks from Hans on the upcoming Borlaug Summit on wheat for food security. I hope most of you are staying around for that. And an invitation from Robert for the 2015 technical workshop in Sydney. So this afternoon, we've seen some of the challenges ahead. Rust never sleeps. New races will continue to evolve like they always have. And by the meeting in Australia, we'll see what further progress we've made. The stem rust outbreak in Ethiopia is going to test our network of surveillance and preparedness, and the genes in the new varieties that we've introduced. And as Les points out, the stem rust outbreak is a cautionary tale. We have to look at the total picture of pathogen preparedness when we introduce new varieties. New varieties must carry genes for resistance to multiple diseases, responsibly stacked. And it isn't just rust resistance that we're breeding for now or in the future. Food security globally, as far as wheat is concerned, will be affected by the game changes of the 21st century. Challenges like the need for increased yields, challenges like climate change, salinity tolerance, heat tolerance, and more extreme water events. If Norman Borlaug were here, he would remind us. He would remind us that at the end of the day, our progress as scientists will continue to be measured in how successful we are in taking new technologies and new varieties to the farmers. Science cannot bypass the poor. Dr. Borlaug was always outspoken in his support of new technologies and strident in his efforts with politicians and public policymakers to change the regulatory environments for new seeds and new inputs, to keep borders open for the movement of data and germplasm, and always his end game was to benefit the hungry and the poor. On the eve of Norman Borlaug's 100th birthday, I want to challenge you as scientists to help champion the new technologies that are necessary. It's going to be difficult, if not impossible, for us to meet the food production challenges of the 21st century without the use of biotechnology. I think we saw that illustrated this afternoon. But plant biotechnologies and biofortified crops are under extreme threats. Over the past 3 days in the Meltwater News, which is one of the news aggregators that we use to track our various issues, there were 154 hits on GMOs in the media, and all but a handful were negative. Food is being increasingly labeled GMO-free, as if that is something we shouldn't eat. Dr. Borlaug would argue for choice in the marketplace. He would argue that all kinds of new technologies will be needed if we're going to take it to the farmer. As scientists, we need to stand up and support the science we practice, support choice, and continue to educate the public, especially consumers, about food choices in the marketplace. We cannot afford only to champion science among our peers in meetings like this. We need to be outspoken with our non-scientific friends. Students, neighbors, take every opportunity to use the media and champion our cause. For more than 15 years, the discourse on agricultural biotechnology has been dominated by a multinational network of anti-GMO activist groups. They have successfully transmitted their viewpoint via the mass media, and they've spread anti-scientific fears about biotechnology to the general public. Dr. Borlaug was infuriated with their outlook, But as a result of their efforts, governments in many countries and regions have banned biotechnology outright, put restrictive legislation in place, or refused to allow plant breeders to develop or commercialize GM crops. Farmers who might benefit from pest-resistant, drought-tolerant, or disease-resistant crops are being denied the choice and the opportunity to grow them. The productivity and food security of farmers in poorer countries is going to be increasingly and negatively impacted due to their inability to deal with pests, diseases, and the impact of climate change. If agricultural innovations are not to bypass poor, small-scale farmers in developing countries, proponents like yourselves must match and overtake the volume, creativity, reach, and success of the anti-GMO network. Perhaps one of the greatest global communication challenges of this decade is to redress the imbalance in the biotechnology debate so that science and evidence-based perspectives are not drowned out by a tide of misinformation and fear-mongering. As scientists, we must improve the public and political enabling environment for agricultural biotechnology. We must proactively contribute to a rational, science-based debate on biotechnology in Africa, East and South Asia, the U.S., and Europe. I challenge you in the name of Dr. Borlaug to be those contributors, to be the voice for science and plant biology, to be the voices for biotechnologists that will help move new crop and food choices into the hands of farmers and improve consumer acceptance and access to safe food choices. As a group, many of us agricultural scientists have failed to address the challenge of the anti-GMO activist, choosing to stay in the lab or the field rather than communicate with the media and others to make the real science of biotechnology accessible to the public. These approaches are proving woefully inadequate in competing with the fast-moving, attention-grabbing campaigns of the anti-biotech opposition. So take up the good fight. You are those people working in plant science and working in wheat, combating diseases like stem and yellow leaf and leaf rust, working in genomic selection, in surveillance, monitoring, pre-breeding, in training, mentoring, and education, in post-harvest technologies, in responsible gene stewardship. You are taking new varieties to the farmers and improving their lives. Keep up the good work. I look forward to a continued celebration of Dr. Borlaug's 100th birthday, to a great field day in Carne Asada tomorrow at the Norman E. Borlaug Experiment Station, and especially to our interactions during the Borlaug Summit on wheat for food security. I want to really thank our host, Simit, LaSalle for the venue. It's a beautiful place. Seth Guru for getting a lot of us here. The DRRW BGRI staff for all their hard work in making this happen. Sarah has been monitoring this by streaming video and keeping me on task. She sends her regards. She may have a new baby by now, I'm not sure. I want to thank everybody who made it a success, and thank you all for coming. Thank you very much.